Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tech Can Save Us podcast brought to you by Literal Humans. My name is Paul David. I'm CEO of Literal Humans and host of the podcast. And I'm joined by Ruby Raut, CEO of WUKA. And today we're going to talk about redefining period care. Welcome to the pod, Ruby.
Thank you so much, Paul. I'm glad that, we qualify sometimes as a apparel, sometimes as like a FemTech, like it's such a I think in between kind of brand. But I love this synergy, like because we can be considered as a kind of like a brand as well because of the technical fabric and technical absorbency and all this kind of thing. So, thank you
Absolutely.
for having me. Yes.
Absolutely. You're tech. Just own it. And I should say for the audience, Ruby and I got connected through the Oxford Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program. We both completed that program this past, I guess it was winter. And how are you feeling post-program?
16 weeks, brutal. I think so. But I think as an entrepreneur, you miss that. I miss the community, I think so. But, since the program finished, we have been managed to catch up with a few of them. We are actually having a International Women's Day lunch dinner kind of thing with some of the women as well. So staying connected.
Nice. That's great. Well, let me introduce Ruby here. Let me introduce you, Ruby. I'm excited to welcome you. You're the CEO and co-founder of WUKA. For folks who don't know WUKA, WUKA is transforming period care with its sustainable and innovative period underwear designed to replace disposable products like pads and tampons. As a Nepali woman on a mission to create better health outcomes for girls globally, Ruby's journey includes being an alumni of Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program and representing UN Women. Since its launch in 2018, WUKA has rapidly grown, recently partnering with major retailers like Tesco. Well done. I remember you
Thank you.
announced that during the program.
Yes.
And you've expanded your reach and support women who, are seeking more eco-friendly period care. So congratulations on all the early success, Ruby.
Thank you very much. Thank you. 7 years it's taken us, and Tesco definitely is a huge success. I was looking at my first email to them, and it was in 2019, just after we started. We didn't get into trading up until September 2018. So 2019, the first thing was like, I want to be in Tesco and Boots and Sainsbury's and everywhere. So yeah, it was really nice to look back at the first email and then see that persistence, over the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you mentioned 7 years, and would love to just talk to you about just set the stage for our audience a little bit and just help our audience understand how the landscape of period care has evolved in the most recent years. And yeah, just give us kind of an overview of the industry and how it's changed.
Like you said, Paul, I was born in Nepal, so I've got, I think, experience of both East and West kind of world. Growing in East, I never grew up with menstrual product like pads and tampons. It was always reusable product. So my first period product was my mum's sari. So as it gets older, she turns them into like a small pieces of cotton fabric, and then you just fold it and use it as your period product. You take it off, wash it, dry it, use it again. So when I was growing up, for me, like the best thing used to be like when I had pocket money, and then I would go and see an Indian brand advertising pad for the first time and going and buying it. But actually, they were quite thick and big, and it was like a bit of a shock factor, I would say, for me. But once you bring it home, use once, the challenge was like you did not know how to dispose it. We didn't have bins, we didn't have any bin men to come and collect any kind of waste. So very much sets you back again to using reusable. But coming to the UK, that was 2010. I mean, I've been here for 14, 15 years now. And pretty much you go to a supermarket aisle and you will see an entire aisle just dedicated to periods, and you have like all sorts of different kind of products as well. So from tampons to pads, night, day, you think about it, it's there. And I think, and looking at the Western side of the world, people have been using pads and tampons for decades. I'm talking about like maybe almost 100 years, right? Nothing had changed. So when I came to the UK and I was like, oh, how come there's no reusable product in here? That made me really think, okay, should I do something about it? So it really took the idea of growing up with that sari rag. When I was young, I used to pin the sari rag in my pants so that it did not move or fall, or those kind of things. And I said, like, I'm going to make some by myself here, and got a secondhand sewing machine, designed 5 pair of period underwear, and started wearing myself. to see like whether it works or not, and absolutely loved it. I fell in love with my own idea. I mean, people say that you should not fall in love with your own idea, but then I was like, okay, if I love it, like maybe I should find people who likes it kind of way. So I just literally put it on Facebook and said like, would anybody would like to try this innovation that I'm making? Within a week, I had like literally people that I don't ever know queuing in front of my house wanting to try this new pair of underwear. So they went back home, and then all I got was like this raving review of like, post women who are out for like 11 hours, saying like, I absolutely loved it. It was so easy to use. We had like school teacher who wore it for such a long period of time, teenage girls. So it really gave me this, I think, a confidence that, okay, maybe I'm onto something. So
Yeah.
put it
And that's
out
what
on
they,
Kickstarter. Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
And we raised £7,000, and we were the first period underwear brand here in the UK. And we were the first ever period underwear to make heavy flow. There were underwear in the markets in Canada and US, but everybody were designed to look very slim and thin. You still need to wear pads on your heavy day. So for me, it was like defying that purpose of like, okay, how can I make an underwear that way where you don't have to wear anything? So yeah, and then it completely changed then the whole landscape of like reusable in the market.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's one of the things that I feel like there's been a lot in the media about like kind of, founders designing for themselves first. And like it almost sounds intuitively selfish, but like you kind of have to love something, fall in love with your own product, and then take that love out to other people and say, hey, isn't this thing great? Or what do you think of it? How can I improve it? And I think that energy is infectious. And, you kind of have to start with yourself, if you don't love your own product.
You just have to do it, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody say, like just do it.
Just do
Like
it.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to understand a bit more about like the eco-friendly element of WUKA, because this is obviously, we're in the middle of, climate crisis, and everyone's so focused on, getting to net zero and being more sustainable. So we'd love to just dig into the product itself and what specifically makes WUKA's products, and your impact unique, especially when it comes to sustainability.
Yeah, so we have been leading innovation within the period underwear. When we launched, obviously, I made sure that every underwear replaces pads and tampons going to landfill, where women did not have to use anything else. So early on in 2020, we became the first brand to do a carbon report on period product. And initially we started doing it in our product because we wanted a great USP to go out to our customer and say like, hey, look, we have gotten scientific evidence backed saying that period underwear are better than disposable pads and tampons. And while doing that exercise, we found out that period underwear has got 5 times less carbon footprint than pads and tampons. And in a lifetime, one underwear would replace 200 disposable period product going to landfill. So they are like quite significant milestone that you could hit in a personal level, but also as a company level kind of way. So that was itself like one of his first when we invented it, and we keep on updating that. We also made sure that since very beginning that pretty much up to 3 pair of underwear goes as a large letterbox, which means that people don't miss out their product. So again, thinking like that efficiency on every level, whether the hassle for the people versus like the carbon footprint of the product, of the delivery as well. Then 2020, we became the first period underwear to go to supermarkets. Yeah. And that was incredible. Like, at that time, Sainsbury's took that leap. We realized that they would only take 2 size period underwear. Then we started getting range of complaints like, why are you not doing size S, or like, why are you not doing size extra large? Like, there's nothing for plus size women, those kind of thing. And I said like, what we do? We do go from 2 extra small to 4 extra large at the time, and now we go to 6XL. But because of the capacity, they would not let it. So 2020, we went back to the drawing room and reinvented the whole period underwear. So now we've got one underwear that fits 4 body sizes, which means that just with 3 pair of underwear, you will cover everybody from 2 extra small to 6 extra large, which means that you are reducing maybe 14 SKUs down to 3 SKUs,
Wow.
right? And that is the innovation side that we always like really want to challenge ourselves, is like, how can we reduce the impact of how much we produce, what we produce. We also only produce like 98% black underwear because that's what he sells. Why bother, like doing prints and colors and all this kind of thing. So we are not a fashionable brand. We are a very functional product, like a product that is designed to work and work effectively and give you that confidence and comfortable.
Can you share some specific user feedback or customer feedback that sort of influenced product development at WUKA, or is just memorable?
So the Tesco thing was one of them. We also supply quite a lot of period underwear to governments. So councils buy from us and then they basically distribute to quite a lot of college, universities, schools, those kind of thing. And I think we got a tender. We supplied to one of the council. And then that year I went and I started doing period education within school. And we did around 18 school in 3 days. I was just like doing a marathon on different school in one county. And when I reached over there, that was another challenge why we did the multi-size was like the pants that we sent 6 months ago was still sitting in a corner, not being able to be distributed because the teacher would not know what size their kids are. Kids don't know what size they are. So we really then they go like, but I don't know what size I am because the kid size is not same as the adult size. And in adult sizes, in different clothing, you are of different sizes. So that was like such a big challenge for us. So we literally thought, okay, we need to solve this. So while we were solving the problem for Tesco and Sainsbury's and how do we make like more sizes available with a small amount, we actually thought that, okay, maybe this might help as well. So now with all the school and colleges, we only send 2 sizes. So you can either go size 1 or you can go size 2. And then you'll be able to easily distribute it without any hassle of and also kids grow. So as the kids grow, you don't need every year to buy period underwear. The underwear actually grows with you. So it's quite convenient for us, quite a lot of parents as well.
Yeah. You mentioned not being like a fashionable brand, but how does WUKA balance, performance and sustainability, in your product design? Because you obviously want to be sustainable, but you also, needs to grow with folks and needs to, still perform.
That is still the biggest challenge for us is when we started the whole brand, we never thought that growth is something that everybody looks at. What we wanted was we actually are a brand that will degrow the whole category, right? Degrowth is the thing. And that's how it's supposed to be. When you're building a sustainable brand, people are supposed to consume less.
How does that land for investors? Like
I know.
degrowth. That must really thrill the VCs that you pitch to.
Well, they like the sustainability, but they don't like the degrowth side of the thing. And I think this is something we need to change within the investor landscape as well. You cannot get growth and sustainability at the same time. There has to be some kind of sacrifice made. And if you are an impact investor, you will think about the impact of the product that's going to make on the world and people rather than your pocket. So I think that is the difference. You'll have to, and then I think that is the reason, we haven't found the right investor yet. We are bootstrapped, I raised £7,000 back in 2017 and that's it. Haven't raised any penny since then. And I think this is always the challenge. But this year we are thinking a little bit more abroad. Also, in 7 years, we have got over 1 million customer. I think people see us now more from a sustainable brand to actually period health brand. Over the years, we have spoken to many women, many women and girls, and often feel like most of the time they are not being heard. There is a health crisis. There's a crisis in women being not understood, underestimated, especially when it comes to their health. So we're really trying to see is there a place that we can carve and become more like a holistic period health brand? And then maybe perhaps bring some consumable that will address the other needs of women, like fatigue and tiredness and bloating. All of these are such a common thing for any woman who has period.
Is that to say there's any product announcements you want to make and debut on the pod? Anything you want to, or just tell us what you're thinking about in terms of new products?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. So we are introducing a new product range called WUKA Cycle Care. So this consists of 3 supplements, one for iron and vitamin C, mostly combating fatigue. 80% of the women actually tell that they're always constantly tired when they're in the period because they lose quite a lot of iron. Iron is supposed to give you energy, right? And we are also doing PMS support, again, rich in magnesium, vitamin B6, vitamin E, those kind of thing, really helps in mood regulations. And then we have got vitamin D3K2 for immunity support. If you speak to a lot of women, most of the women fall ill during the period, whether they have flu or, loose bowel or those kind of things. So immunity really goes down. So helping with that. But also we are in UK. We don't get enough sunlight. I think we definitely need more booster vitamin D for everyone. So yeah, very excited. That will be launching March 6th. And we are doing a big news back of it as well to launch, to address that, again, that gap of health crisis for women and being underestimated and understood.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned growth. I mean, you were talking about sort of like growth of products and growth of markets and stuff like that. But I want to move the conversation and talk about, growth of your startup and just sort of growth. But before we get there, something you just said is really, really interesting about like just the education piece. Like you must be walking into rooms of mostly male investors, unfortunately, and just like having to educate these guys and maybe even some cases gals and other folks like about period care and about challenges that women are facing, across their lives and their health. So like, talk to me about that. Like, how has that process been of like effectively being an educator in your own market and trying to bring people along on a journey?
You're right. Like, not many people know. Even women don't know enough about their own health. And I think over the last 5 years, with the rise of the social media and especially all around the health content, I think it's only now we started really rethinking our health. And for me, the most bizarre thing is like, look, I'm a woman of color. I'm an immigrant, right? Like, there's very less chances of me going into a room and people really like understanding where I'm coming from. And I think this is like the bias that I get. The first thing when I walk into any investor room is like, I say that this is the brand, this is what the product does. Most of the time, the first reaction, like, don't you think that this product is going to be great in like developing country, like in Africa and Asia and all this kind of thing? And I'm like, we are the biggest polluter in the world, right? Like we actually consume and throw away so much plastic on a day-to-day basis. And again, this whole feeling about like we have to go and give the sustainable or least convenient thing to like developing country, and we use something that is like out of our sight, out of our mind to us kind of way. And I always find this quite strange, and I see the need in different parts of the world, right? But where I can grow the business is here in the West. If I go to the East kind of side of the thing, most of the people will just think as I'm a charity and want me to work at the charity, and pretty much it won't grow as like. But also, like, how often do you go and ask P&G that actually your product is going to be better in East than in West kind of way? So I think there is this feeling. Also, I don't have any background of running a business or going to a high university or like anything like that. Often that seems to be the case of like, what's your background? And I'm like, what's my background? Like, I started a business and I'm running like a quite incredible business, bootstrapped, profitable, all the way to here. And so I think there's quite a lot of justification that is needed when you walk into the room, from educating about the period, but also like educating them about like the capability of a woman running a business.
Yeah, it must be such a burden. I mean, I think it's a good segue into, growth and talking about how you grow WUKA as a company, as a startup. You talked about degrowth earlier, so really interested. We have to ask this question because we're like a growth strategy agency, but we're a growth strategy agency that works specifically with mission-driven brands. So we're always like questioning that piece of like growth for growth's sake and who we're helping to grow and what the impact of their products are. So really appreciate the position that you're in. Would love to just hear how you've grown WUKA over the years. You obviously got these big partnerships with Tesco to expand your reach, but what have been your kind of key growth levers that you've pulled, and how do you think about your growth strategy in general?
Yeah, awareness is like the biggest thing for us, and then I think educating people. So early on, the earliest adopter for us were the people who were really into sustainability. And I'm talking about that niche 1% who really think that I'm going to have to make a difference in my life to make a better place for a younger generation, right? So they were like the key early adopter. And then what they would do is then they would go like word of mouth, tell the other people. Periods are still a very personal thing, and people would not want to talk in public about it. In fact, we have got this branding on one of our underwear where it says, "Oh, WUKA," and often we get an email from people saying like, "Can you please remove that? I don't want anyone to know that I'm on my period." And I'm like, well, period is the reason why everybody is here. Like, you should wear it with pride, kind of, like, how come you can wear Calvin Klein and not wear WUKA and be proud of it, right? Like, of who you are. So they were the early. We also had an early adopter of vegans. It's funny, like, they are in the cusp of change and they are always looking for change. And I think that is the very mindset of like, what we wanted as a customer was like the people who want to make a change. And then slowly we had like, now is the growing community of mums of teens. Every parent wants to give a better start to their daughter than what they had, right? So this is where we see like, okay, this is what is going to disrupt the community. So we started like then working with like mom influencers who have got teens in their life, and then really talk from their perspective of like how they think that it will change the girl's life. Then we started have the girls wearing it. Now we have like, I get so many incredible videos from like young girls sent by their parents, obviously, but to say how they feel confidence and they do sports and like, you know, they are like, I would like to advertise WUKA kind of way. And then you have this 9 or 10-year-old girl who are excited, you know, like to be part of it. So I think word of mouth definitely has worked, you know, like with influencer. And one of the things that, you know, in the crowd of so many brands trying to make breakthrough, I think one of the great way that we have reached, well, get a fair share, especially for a new category, new product, is through PR. And we have leveraged that since day one. We do campaigns quite a lot. Our biggest successful campaigns, we've got like quite a few actually now under our belt. We campaigned to remove the VAT on period underwear, and that took us 5 years, and we've got it removed now. Thank you. And now we have got on the sportswear. So they have excluded swimwear, period swimwear, as a part of like to be a clothing and not period swimwear. So we are actually campaigning again. Doesn't make sense for us. We also got like, we applied for quite a few competitions. Sky TV does like £2 million fund, Sky TV Footprint Fund. So anybody listening to this, and if you're an impact business, you know, like definitely apply for it. And we were like the one of the shortlisted one. We got £250,000 to do a free TV advertising. That was like brilliant for us. And we were the first brand to show like period bloods and clots in the TV. Then we got like over 500 complaints back of it, but we made it into a PR, you know, like I think the complaint just shows that how much people are not aware about talking about things like periods and how actually helpful it becomes for so many other women. Because at the end of the day, if you talk about your health, you're probably sharing with other people, which means that other people who are going through the same kind of thing might say like, actually, it's not just you, it's me as well. I think we need to go and have a look at what's wrong with us and then be addressed. Yeah. So yeah, PR, word of mouth, influencer, quite a lot of like, I think very much grassroots still. Mm-hmm. Yet clubs come to us and say like, could we put WUKA in our shorts, you know, like just organically. And I think that is like the power of like, when you are seen as that impact-driven brand and that people want to be associated with.
Yeah. How do you staff your growth function? Do you know, have an internal team? Do you have freelancers? You work with agencies? Some mix of the three? What does that look like?
Yeah, mix of the three. We tried like all sorts of way actually, but you know, we have got our own fulfillment in here in Welwyn Garden City. So we've got a warehouse, loads of stock, and we managed to like. Sometimes if I get just too much in my head, I actually just go down and pack and just relax, you know, like, and I think that's quite nice. And also like to see like the real people ordering, and I'm like, oh my God, they ordered 5 pair of underwear, you know, like, and then have that feeling of like, actually, the product's still been going on quite strong. Team-wise, we have got a few agencies that we work with, especially on finance side of the thing, and on content PR side of the thing as well. We are total of 14 people in-house, got a couple of contractors. So yeah, mixture of both, I would say.
Gotcha. We'd love to talk about, you know, your motivation, like in just a bit more about your story, and we're kind of moving into the more personal segment. We'd love to hear about, you know, just a bit more about your journey and like what challenges or insights, you know, sort of helped you fuel this passion for creating innovative solutions in the period space and FemTech or whatever we're calling it. What were those like keystone moments along the way that drove you along?
You know, I'm one of those person, I think so. If somebody says like, oh no, you can't do it, I'll just go and do it and prove them wrong, kind of like. And I think most entrepreneurs are, right? That's why we are entrepreneurs. Don't tell me I can't do it, kind of way. So I think challenges wise, for me has been like in the early days, and it had definitely been like the community side of the thing. You know, as an immigrant, I literally knew maybe 4 or 5 people in my life. Building that brand was like such a hard job, I would say. Like if I'd known what I know now, like 4 years ago, I'd be in a completely different space, I would say. You know, like, and I learned most of the thing the hard way, I would say. At that time when I started, the whole entrepreneur journey was like quite isolated, did not know where to go and find the information and stuff. And I think Goldman Sachs like really like, and I would say like any business who are in like second year or third year into the into the stage of definitely should do the Goldman Sachs program. Not only it fosters the community, but also it gives you like good foundation of like, okay, where to go next. I think 7 years in, I came slightly a little bit late. I felt like that, but yeah, I think that I would say like early days, those were the challenges. Now I feel like challenges has been definitely on funding side of the thing as well. We went out fundraising last year, learned a lot. We got quite a few term sheets on the table as well. Then learned a lot in terms of what happens when you don't find the right investor and right alignment. And I think that is very important. Like people will give you money because they can see the growth, they can see your vision and all this kind of thing. But getting the right money from the right investor is the most important thing. So at the end, we just walked away. We said like, this does not align with our value. And that was like 16 weeks of brutal going back and forth on different things, you know. And at the end, it ended up, can you believe, it ended up on the chairperson. I wanted a chairwoman because when I was searching for a chairwoman role, there were so little women who had chairwoman experience. And I really wanted to give that space to another woman. And that's where we did not align. How bizarre. Like, I thought like, such a strange world we live in that. Also, like, don't let your investor dictate who can be and who cannot be, because you are the one who's working with them and not them, right? So I think that was a bit of a eye-opening, but also like lots of learning, I would say. Like, I definitely feel like I'm such a strong in now finance, doing all of that exercise last year than ever before. Like I know every metrics in the business, you know, like from like how much you spend on packaging to people and stuff. So
we fired our accountant, hired a new one. Like, I mean, it was just like, it was mind blowing. Like, you know, and really like, I feel like they should, you know, require you to have some sort of training in finance before, maybe arguably before you start a business. I wouldn't have started mine, you know, like it just, I was blown away by how much I learned from the finance side of things in that program. So yeah, I hear you on that one. Would love to hear a bit more about your work with UN Women. Obviously UN, big name, and how has it shaped your views on the importance of reputation and inclusiveness, you know, for women in FemTech in particular. It seems like there's a lot of men in FemTech who are sort of creating products for women. That's a whole conversation. And how has your involvement with UN Women impacted WUKA and your culture and your product offerings?
You know, as I said, like, I feel like that representation is such a need thing on any level, you know. I think I joined UN Women last year, but prior to that, we were doing fundamentally quite a lot of right things, you know, like in terms of like, how do we represent our people to what kind of model goes in on our photos and stuff, right? You know, like since inclusivity in terms of like the diversity of ethnicity and diversity in body sizes, diversity in the person in color and all this kind of thing. And I think that always had been like a fundamental, but we are a product that helps women at different stages of life, right? We are talking from like first period to last period and beyond. We have young girls who might have just started the period, their experiences versus like, do you remember when one of the executive person at the Goldman Sachs talked about the miscarriage and how period underwear helped her and announcing in front of everyone. And I think that's the example of where we want to be. And I think people to openly talk about the issues that they are facing and share it with people. And I think that is quite empowering. And that's what the whole UN Women is all about, right? Like, it's like, how can we have these shared values and beliefs and diversity within different countries and culture and businesses that we can like really reflect people's identity on everything that we do. And I think I did a couple of like sessions with them, and it makes you really think about like, okay, are you doing the right thing? If not, where can you change? If you're doing the right thing, how do you continue doing that, right? It was really interesting. We work with quite a lot of like grassroots football team as well at the moment. And we love the representation in there, and different clubs have like different kind of girls and like different needs, different parents, like, you know, like I absolutely love that. Especially when you go to London, it's like so diverse and almost makes you not believe that you are in UK, you know, like it just feels like, what? We are like so one as well. Like,
Yeah, the opportunity, what struck me when I was looking at your brand is like the opportunity for so many stories, and not just stories to like help you grow the brand, but just like really deep, authentic stories about how your product has influenced and changed and improved the lives of the women you work with. So that I think that's yeah, really, really important. Would love to jump us into the quick fire round. So this is a round where we ask you just like quick, your first thought, your first response. Obviously, you've had a sense of these questions beforehand, but helps our audience get to know you a bit more personally, and they're a bit fun. So you can explain a little bit. We'll allow it. We'll allow it. You're busy with WUKA, but if taking all you've learned and all you've experienced, if you could found another tech startup, what would it be and why?
Educating young girls about finance.
There you go. That's a great one. What tech invention makes you the most excited?
I think wearable tech. I love like how technology can be quite advanced enough to help you understand what's happening to you.
Yeah, we love wearables. Aura Ring was one of our clients, so I get to wear one of our clients around. That's
Yeah,
very cool.
nice. My husband uses Aura Ring as well. He loves like now and then he comes and shares with all the data with me, and it's like, okay, that's great. Like
Nice.
I haven't used much actually in terms of tech, but I want to develop one
Yeah,
for
there you
sure.
go. There you go. What tech makes you the most concerned?
We had this session on AI, and I went on this journey from like being quite euphoric to like absolutely, oh my God, what's happening to again being euphoric. I mean, I love AI, right? Like, but I think there's other things with the social side of the thing, like whether it's social media platform or whether it's AI, like if it goes to the wrong person's hand, it can go quite wrong. And I think that is quite scary.
Yeah, that definitely is. AI tends to be the answer for this question
And,
these
and,
days.
and
So,
monopoly on AI as well, I would say, right?
yeah,
Like when it just goes to one power or something like that. Yeah.
scary. Who is a literal human who's been integral to your career and life journey?
Oh, I have to say my husband.
There you go.
Definitely. Like I've learned so much, and I think I've learned the hard way as well. Like he used to tell me like all of these things, and then like completely not listen to them. Then I learned from somebody else, and I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what he told me like a year ago. And I'm like, even when I was doing the comments, I was like, oh my God, like I didn't listen to him at all while he was telling me. So I definitely say like he's the best kind of place. So
There you go. What's an inspirational quote? It can be from your husband, it can be from anyone that has stuck with you through your career journey in tech.
show up, I would say. Over 90% of the things happen when you show up. So make sure that that is the opportunity window. There are moments when everybody feels like, oh, I don't want to go kind of way, or I don't want to meet these people. It's the right time, right place, right people. I think that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, I think show up. I've got like a couple of family members and friends who like you just know the people who you can count on to show
Yeah.
up, and that just like they're your people.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
very much agree with that. I meant to ask you, how does that show up for you all? How do you all show up? Do you all have a hybrid workspace, remote, in person, a mix of the three? I see you have an amazing office, and you mentioned like a physical warehouse, obviously for your products. Wanted to understand that a bit better.
Yeah, we do. Every morning we do stand-ups. Whether you have something to say or nothing to say, you stand up and show up. We do weeklies, and then we do quite a like monthly one-to-one as well with the team. So I make sure that I am there. And when we do the one-to-one, we often do like walk the talk kind of thing. And every quarter we have team lunch or dinner, whatever, one thing.
Nice, that's great. And are most of your team UK based, or where are they?
Yes, we've
Yeah.
got a couple of them, one in Portugal and one in Italy, but they come every 6 months. And we also do once a year away week, but this becomes like a quite intense week because it's mostly leadership and senior people, senior person in the team, and it's very much like what we're gonna do next year kind of way. So I wouldn't count that as a way week. It's very much like intense work week.
100%. Well, Ruby, I really appreciate your time today. It's been so super fascinating to hear more about WUKA. I heard a little bit about it during the Oxford program, but this has been a great dive into the great work that you're doing. You've even announced some new products that you've got coming out, which is really exciting. And yeah, it just sounds like you're showing up for women and just, folks who are struggling with understanding their bodies and getting the right tools to help them take care of themselves. So really appreciate the work that you're doing.
You summed up really well. Thank you, Paul. And it was like definitely great chatting. And maybe one day, we might work together, and you never know. And
Fingers
that is
crossed.
the good thing about I love Goldman Sachs. I'm actually going and speaking at CAMIX, COLDR. You know the
Hmm. Yep,
our
yep, yep,
agency,
yep,
yes.
yep. Yeah.
Cam's IWD event next month. Oh, it's the 4th of March. So
There you go.
quite excited about the breakfast thing as well. So yeah, trying to do a few things with like people.
Yeah,
We
we
are
actually
connected.
we actually work with Cam and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know and for PR stuff for clients. Yeah, so yeah, we're well connected. But yeah, I mean it's a great network, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface in terms of tapping into it. So
Oh, gosh, yeah.
yeah, this being a part of it. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Ruby. Want to
So
say,
much.
and then just maybe let our listeners know where can they find out more about WUKA.
Yes, so you can buy us online. Obviously, that is the best at wuka.co.uk or wukaware.com. And we are also available in Tesco's, Superdrug, Boots, Morrison's, but only on selected stores. So, yeah, Ocado, those kind of thing. But if you just Google, we do free shippings. Next to delivery as well if you needed an emergency. Especially, I think when you are going on a holiday and you need period swimwear, that is definitely the time where we see like the peaks in like next to delivery, please.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, important use case there. But yeah, for want to say to our audience, if you've really enjoyed this episode, I'm sure you have. Ruby's fantastic. Please leave us a review, give us a 5-star rating. It just helps us bring more guests, more great guests like Ruby onto the pod. And thank you again, Ruby, for your time and your fantastic work.
Thank you so much, Paul.
All right. Thanks, everybody.